We're now joined by Coach Rossi. We'll go ahead and open up for questions.
Joe, obviously that game at Penn State was not how you want your defense to look. What did you feel like was the major issues that you saw last Saturday?
Yeah, I thought, obviously, like you said, not how we want to perform. I think we started out fast in the first couple series, first 3-4 series, and then, we gave up a touchdown. And I think, as we got into the game a little bit, I saw some guys, attempting to do a little bit too much and pressing a little bit. And anytime you do that, I think what ends up happening is you end up giving up some plays. And so I think as the game wore on, I never questioned the effort or the fight, but I think the execution definitely was not at the level that it needs to be. And when people start pressing to make some plays, a lot of times what happened is you allow plays to happen. And I think really that's what happened in the second half. And so obviously we got a good look at that film on Sunday when we came back in it. We had talked about it. We addressed it. I think the guys acknowledged it. We got to coach better. We got to play better. We've kind of taken what we can from it and moved on and getting ready for a good Rutgers team. So.
Joe, where do you want to see growth from the pass rush moving forward?
I want to just get push in the quarterback's face. I want to see the defensive tackles create some struggle for the quarterback to be able to step up into the pocket and have vision lanes. And then that'll allow the edge guys to activate better and be able to create some finish. But when we're not getting push in the middle and then the quarterback can step up in the pocket, it makes it challenging for the edge guys to be able to win. So that would probably be number one right now.
Could we see more John Joyner?
Jaw's been rotating in. I think in the Purdue game he got the start in that game, and he's played a lot of snaps. And when you get your opportunity, you got to go out and make the most of it. And every game we evaluate what guys are doing based on the games and the practices. They go hand in hand. It starts with the practice and then it goes to the games. And he's shown the ability to be able to get free and get some wins. He's got to be able to finish at the top of the rush though.
Joe, there's a lot of familiarity between the two coaching staffs. What challenges does that present?
It's interesting. Obviously, Coach Fleck and Coach Schiano, obviously their connection, and then there's the connection with the guys on the defensive side of the ball with me and Joe, and obviously some things with the offensive guys. So I think it creates familiarity, maybe more so than a normal week. There's a little bit maybe more knowledge of how each side does it. So I think you just have to be aware of that and kind of project a little bit further out than maybe you would normally because of the familiarity. So they have the challenge, we have the challenge. It isn't just unique to us, and so you probably see it as a wash from that standpoint, and then you just got to go out and play.
What's your assessment of the Rutgers offense?
I was impressed with them last week. I think what you saw coming off a bye week and then they made a change of coordinator, I think there was an effort to run the football and control the clock and be a physical unit, which I think they did. You saw them look to move the pocket, take some shots down the field. They did some things under center. They did some two-back things. They got the ball in number one's hands. They had 11 targets to the tight end. And so they got the ball to their playmakers. They got it up vertically to the perimeter. I've been impressed with the receivers to go up and catch some jump balls. To me, there were significant changes and improvement that I saw coming out of the bye week. So I think we'll continue to see that kind of evolve, from that change and see where it goes. And we'll see some new wrinkles. We'll see some new plays. We'll see some different ways to attack us. But I think you kind of got to look at what you saw this past week and expect it to grow.
PJ talked on the radio show yesterday about being a solution-driven program. How does that apply to the defense this week?
Well, I think what it means is that you do a good job of identifying things where you need to get better at, whatever it may be, whether it's in the run game, whether it's in the pass game, whether it's in the scheme game, whether it's dealing with different ways that you're being attacked, and then providing solutions in practice. So, we changed some things at how we practiced this week to address some things that we felt like were issues for us. I'm not going to get into those because, that kind of tips your hand, but there's two specific things that we changed in practice so that we could get better at some things that we felt were challenging to us. So that's what Coach is talking about in terms of a solution-based team and a solution-based, to your question, on the defensive side of the ball specifically.
You were around Joe Harrisoniak when he first got his start as a coach. What do you think makes him unique?
I think he's able to connect with the players. I think he's very smart. I think he's a high energy coach. He works really hard at it. He's a friend of mine first, but I always enjoyed working with him. Number one, whenever I was the coordinator at Maine, and he got hired to be a full-time defensive back coach. I ended up leaving right after that, and then he made his ascension from assistant to coordinator to head coach. And then here, obviously, we had some changeover on the defensive staff, and coach asked me if there was anyone that I thought highly of, and Joe was the first guy. It was a no-brainer, and he came in and did a great job for us. And I was happy to see him move on and become a coordinator, but sad, one, because he's a good coach, but two, because he's a really good person and a good friend of mine. So he's doing a really good job there. I'm proud of him. I'm excited for him. So it'll be good to see him. I may suggest that he trims the beard when I get a chance to see him in person, because quite frankly, it's out of control. But that'll be our conversation in pregame. So.
You talk about solutions, and you mentioned the Rutgers tight end. Obviously, that's where Penn State hit you guys a few times. What do you need to do in coverage against
Execute? And so sometimes it's scheme-based, sometimes it's execution. I'm in charge of both, just so we're all on the same page. I take responsibility for both ends of that. So we got to execute better. Those plays, if we execute, are not an issue. But again, that's my responsibility to make sure that we execute. But I don't feel like it's a schematic issue where there needs to be a bunch of changes. We need to execute the things that we're being asked, and that's my job. And then the players got to take the coaching, and go out and perform. It's always a symbiotic relationship of, hey, there's a teach and demand, okay, and there's a prepare and performance between the player coach, and that's how we work together. So.
Anything else for Coach Rossi?
Coach Rossi, how have you seen Brevin develop just as a run blocker?
I think it starts with 1-2. There's a willingness to it. I think early on, he made the transition from, being a guy who was a good athlete in high school and was able to catch a lot of passes, and he came in and added size and was learning the game. And, you would see flashes from an athletic standpoint and flashes from a, receiver standpoint. In the last, year, I would say, his willingness to want to do it. His development in the weight room with Coach Nickel and the training staff, and he's feeling more confident. And he's definitely, in my opinion, one of the better blocking tight ends. And obviously his receiving ability kind of obviously stands out, and that's the thing that people noticed most. But he's really taken strides, and I think it has to do with his development physically, and then also his desire to do it. Coach Harbaugh's done a really good job developing him in that end too.
Where are the biggest areas you want to see the defensive line take a step forward this week?
I want to see us be violent. I want to see us be physical. I want to see us demand double teams. I want to see us collapse the pocket and affect the game in a positive way to allow the defense to have success, which will allow the team to have success. So, there were some flashes of it, but we want to see it be more consistent. And I think if we can do that, then we'll put ourselves in good position.
Got time for one or two more if anyone's got it? All right. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Thank you.